We're here at Gallows Bridge Farm, one of our sites on the Upper Ray. We've had a 2-year project running funded by FCC communities to improve the habitat for threatened waders. Through the project we have replaced 1,500 metres of anti-predator fencing and installed an additional 1,000 metres to protect 22 hectares of breeding wader habitat. We have replaced almost 3,000 metres of stock fencing to graze the floodplain meadows effectively. Through BBOUT core funds, we have installed or reprofiled over 3,000 metres of wader scrapes. These wet features are used by the breeding waders as feeding areas. They pick the insects off of the wet mud. And this winter we have additional wader scrape works planned, funded by the Nature Recovery Fund. The benefits of the work on site are speaking for themselves. We currently have 3 pairs of breeding redshank that nested this spring. The number of breeding lapwing has also increased, and this year we had a close breeding attempt with a pair of curlew, so we're hoping that we can build on this to hopefully fledge some chicks in the future.
Biodiversity net gain is a principle from the government. This is targeted at development to ensure that through development, nature is left in a better condition than it started prior to the work commencing. That's why it's net gain. And effectively what it means is any biodiversity loss at a development site, we can do the mitigation or the offsetting for the client on a much larger, long-term, more specialist scale that we have here.
We're at Duxford Old River, and it's our second habitat bank. So just tell us then about the change in this habitat bank over the last 2 years that we've had the site.
We're allowing nature to restore itself. So we've taken away a lot of the internal fencing structures. We've created a perimeter fence around the whole site, and within that we're doing conservation grazing. Because the flora is lifting and diversifying, that's introducing in species of inverts, birds and others are coming in and are slowly establishing themselves. We're trying to get a functioning ecosystem established here all year round, but we're still at early stages. There's still a long way to go. We're looking at this as a much more holistic way for nature restoration than just the simple parameters of biodiversity net gain.
Reconnecting Burnwood, Otmore and the Ray is BBOUT's new partnership-led landscape-scale nature recovery programme. It focuses on the Burnwood, Otmore and the Ray landscape, which is located between Oxford, Bicester and Aylesbury, and it's about 300 kilometres squared, so it's a pretty massive chunk of land. So we have some amazing pieces of nature at our reserves, of which we have 11 in the area, our sites of special scientific interest, our local wildlife sites, and on partner sites such as RSPB Otmore and the MOD Bicester Garrison. But these sites and the areas in between them are quite threatened. So our programme is all about reconnecting. So it's about reconnecting those amazing bits of landscape together and providing like an ecological corridor between them and working with communities to connect them up to the natures on their doorstep. So BBOUT is the lead partner on this programme. So the team based here, which is myself and my 2 colleagues, Emily and Hannah, who work on nature and farmer engagement and community engagement respectively, leading the work along with 10 other partners. We have £500,000 from National Lottery from now until the end of October 2026. We'll have to submit an application for a second round of funding for 4.1 million, which will last from 2027 through to 2032. And we're all really, really excited to kind of get going and see where this programme takes us.
Mend the Gap represents us working in partnership with both the Chilterns National Landscape and the North Wessex Downs National Landscape. This first year of the project has really allowed us to build a successful groundwork, both in terms of understanding what we need to do within our own landholding on our reserve at Cholsey Marsh and building relationships with external landowners and land managers. So in this last year we've built knowledge of specific species such as Desmond's whorl snail, a really rare species which we now know occurs in reasonable numbers along the Thames in Oxfordshire. It's allowed us to undertake habitat surveys, not only on our own land, but with those third-party landowners, so we've got a better understanding of what we're working with. So this winter, that allows us to get out onto our own land and onto third-party land and deliver some of those works. Things like restoring scrapes through the removal of colonising willow, building new scrapes in which wading birds can forage, rejuvenating hedgerows through hedge laying and scrub clearance, and all sorts of other vital work which allows us to ensure the long-term survival of those riverside habitats.
Beebout are privileged to have one of the best populations of adders across the 3 counties at Greenham and Crookham Commons, but sadly adders really are in trouble across the UK. One of the biggest threats to them is population fragmentation, where small populations can no longer mix together and therefore are at real risk of inbreeding and potentially local extinctions. So in 2023 we were lucky enough to secure funding from Natural England's Species Recovery Programme. Contractors installed 2 tunnels under a small road linking these 2 small populations back together. Trail cameras have shown that the tunnels within a couple of months had all sorts of wildlife using them, and very excitingly in spring this year we had our first adder moving through the tunnel. As far as we know, a project like this hasn't been carried out in the UK before, so it's exciting to be involved in something so innovative. We've written it up as a best practice case study as well, which has already been published. It's been really rewarding to work on a project with such tangible results.